For the final exam, I'm choosing the topic of whether or not it should be illegal for people to own pit bulls or not. Um, I chose this topic because I highly believe that people should be allowed to. People often they tend to find them as mean and vicious, and that all of them are just mean. They find them this way because no one ever says positive things about pit bulls. It's always negative. It's always about attacks, incidents with them, and people don't see exactly how pit bulls truly are. Um, since the United Kennel Club has seen pit bulls and recognized their breed way back before the 1980s, they were often used as nanny dogs because of how gentle and kind and dedicated that they truly were. Now people look at them and they see horror because, once again, the only thing that people talk about when pit bulls are involved are attacks and really all the bad things that have happened, which I can't say is not true because it has happened and it is upsetting because really we want to keep people safe and other dogs safe. The reason people get pit bulls normally is to look tough and, kind of as a protective system. This is why they get them. ASPCA says pit bulls attract the worst kind of dog owners. Because of their toughness and their leanness and how muscular pit bulls are, people often get them, like I said, as to protect. They want to get them so that people do look tough and so that no one will come near them, or they'll tie them up outside so no one will come near their house, like housebreaking type things. So people often get them as a sense of feeling safe, which is kind of a good thing because you want your dog to protect you regardless. One of the main problems right now with pit bulls are that shelters are overflowing with them. They're really difficult to adopt because of their history. Um, People don't want them because they have small children, and maybe if they have unknown history, no one wants them. But really, since they were used as nanny dogs, pit bulls are honestly best with kids. They're most friendliest with kids, and that's who they honestly truly get along with most, are small children. Um, The sad thing about pit bulls when going to the shelter is that it's usually a one-way trip for them. Once they go there, they end up staying there. They never come back, which is sad because, a dedicated, loving, loyal dog gets put down because of basically the owner's misjudgment or others' misjudgment. Um, Myths about pit bulls are they actually don't have locked jaws. A lot of people say they have locked jaws. So once they bite down on something, they don't let go, that you cannot open their mouth. Well, that is a lie. Um, Pit bulls get excited. So if you're playing tug of war with them or, just playing with them, they don't lock jaw. It's just they have something in their breed that makes them overly excited. So it's harder for them to let go because they just want more. So they're not actually locking their jaw and keeping it there. It's just they're excited and they want to keep playing. And that's kind of like their way of winning in the game. Um, Another myth is that pit bulls are all vicious. Vicious. That is not true. Um, any dog could be vicious. It's really how you raise it and how you train it. It's not just pit bulls exactly. They can be vicious, but when they're first born, no dog is just vicious when it's born. It's really how you bring it up. Um, Another myth is they're aggressive towards humans and other dogs. Um, this isn't true, but they can be aggressive towards humans and dogs if maybe it's just you and the dog yourself in a home. So when other humans come around, they're really not familiar with other people. Um, they could be vicious towards dogs if they are an only dog and you bring another dog around or in a home and they've never been around them. So really it's how you bring them up. And if your dog does react like this, a solution to that would be to put it in a class. Um, Another myth is that it's dangerous to adopt rather than buy from a breeder. Um, in a way it's true, in a way it's not. it is dangerous to adopt if you don't know the history, but once again, you can always change a dog's behavior regardless of the age. Yes, it's easier to change their behavior as a puppy. It's easier with any dog, but you can change their behavior regardless of how old they are. So if you think it might be dangerous, then maybe that pit bull would fit someone better, just like two people as a couple, as opposed to someone with children. Facts about pit bulls. It is all about the training. It is all about how you bring them up. It's all about how you raise them. It's all about how you train them. If you're hitting them or you yell at them when they do something wrong, then chances are it's going to have a bad effect in the long run. So you really have to be gentle but firm, and you need to tell them when they're doing something wrong. You shouldn't just let it get away with it. That goes for any dog. Another fact about pit bulls is that they're the most loving, loyal, friendly, and dedicated dogs that you could own. An example of this is my brother has one. He's never once had a problem with it because of the way he trained them. He has two, full grown, and they behave just fine. I brought him around my dog Barney, who is a very small Shih Tzu, and they went perfect together. So them being aggressive towards any other dog is not true. Attacks made by pit bulls are due to the lack of training. People use them in fights because they're tough. People use them when it comes to drugs because, once again, they're tough, and no one wants to get bit by a dog, obviously. But a good thing about them is that they are very responsive, so they do listen to you. Pit bulls are actually one of the easiest dogs to train because they are very eager to please their owner. So when you tell them something, they're most likely going to listen. The visual aid I will be using today is Chunk. My boyfriend and I just bought him. He is 8 weeks old, and how I can prove that he is eager to please is because he's 8 weeks old, he's already potty trained, he's already crate trained, he knows his name, he almost knows how to sit because he wants to please us. His biting has stopped because we are firm but gentle with him. We don't spank him. We're very, we're going to bring him up right, obviously, and because he has to get along with my other dog, but that's how big he is. He's very little, and he's tired right now. But I believe, after all, that they're just another loving, caring dog, and it truly is about how you raise them. You shouldn't ever basically judge a book by its cover. You shouldn't, just be like, look at a dog and be like, oh, I'm sure he's made attacks, I'm sure he's bit people, because that really isn't true. It's really all about, as I said before, it's all about how you train your dog. That could go for any breed, and you really just need to bring them up right. People use them because they want to look bad, and you really shouldn't do that to any dog regardless. Barney's a Shih Tzu, and if I did lack of training, he could be just as mean as a pit bull would if you were lack of training or if you were aggressive towards them. Any dog, if you do lack of training or mean to, it's going to stick up for itself, whether it's towards their owner, towards other humans, or other dogs. The one thing you want to do is you want to make it clear that you are dominant. If you are not dominant in the dog relationship, then that's the first problem. When you look at your dog and you stare in their eyes, you want to make sure they look the opposite way in a matter of 2 seconds, because that shows that you are dominant. When you first teach them how to walk on a leash, you want to make sure you're walking first, because basically it shows that you are in charge, they are not in charge. And that's one of the problems. It's because people buy dogs, pit bulls, because they're cheap, and it's one of the cheapest dogs you can buy. And people buy them and they get lazy. They just buy dogs. Some people just buy dogs because they want them. They get lazy, they don't train them, they let them do whatever, and then get mad about it. And that's why attacks take place. That's why they're vicious and mad. But my persuasive speech to you is that it should be legal for the right owners to own them, which is why it's important to have certain background checks when adopting dogs because you want to make sure that they are going to a right home and that people will do the training that they need to be perfect dogs. And this was my final speech for public speaking, so say bye. This is Chunk.